Welcome to the Lykeminded Podcast, brought to you by Win Group. I am Stas, the world's greatest moderator. I'm here with...
I'm Jay. I'm the world's greatest moderator, but we shall see after this episode. This is episode 6 coming live to you. It's going to be action-packed.
Fire.
It's going to be action-packed, fun, and informational. So, with that said, let's get into it.
So, Jay, it's been a couple weeks since you've been on a podcast.
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah, that's what I said. A couple.
The last episode was a banger.
A couple in America means 2. I know you're new to this country, but a couple is 2. What has been going on? Tell us, young man. What's been happening?
What do you want to know? A lot's been going on.
In real estate.
I mean, we just read it today. There's been an increased supply in the rental market. You know, people are getting extremely competitive with pricing, leading to a lot of options for renters to kind of go in and pick from, which is creating kind of a downturn effect on just buying rental properties, making sure you get your returns. It's making it a very competitive market. I mean, I, for one, am personally feeling it, given that you're my agent, technically. So he's helping me try to find a duplex. And we've been running into this issue for quite some time, where the high prices are just filling the market. You can't get the rents you want because there's so much, supply out there, and you can't undercut the rental income, because that you're not going to be able to fulfill your obligations to the loan, and you're losing money. So it's bad, But the beauty about it is that we find opportunity in the bad. We're hopeful, like Stas says, follow the money and don't jump in, and then the right opportunity will come. But again, that's me more so on the buyer's end, on that side of things. What about you, as an agent representing me and other people? What do you think? What do you see?
So I'm going to age myself here, but I've done this for 12 years, right? I started in the very bottom of the market, because in 2008 I was 2 years out of high school. I was in college. But it's when an asset class gets too much publicity and gets way too hot, there is a correction on the horizon, because the prices essentially start to get so high that you cannot pay for that purchase on a finance deal, which doesn't matter if you're paying cash or not. You always have to look at it if you were financing it to make sure that the cash flow makes sense, because there's 1 million apartment units coming to the market in 2024. These projects take 3-4 years. These guys were all under 2-4% interest rates on their construction only loans. Well, now they're shopping for long-term finance. All their performas are based on low interest rates, rents going up 10, 15%, 20% a year, and having a lack of supply, because the whole market out there is saying that, we have this lack of inventory, of housing. I don't think that's true, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this. We do not have a lack of inventory for housing. Housing is out there. The only thing that we lack is affordable housing. And that's always going to be that way, because prices of insurance, property taxes, construction costs, remodel costs have gone through the absolute roof. And unless you're getting subsidized to build affordable housing with government funds, they don't pencil. You can't get them to pencil out to even pay for themselves without making a profit. So you started this journey 6-7 months ago that you wanted to buy a rental, a duplex.
Oh, it's been...
and I've been telling you, just be patient. The market's changing. And now it's here, right? But real estate is the slowest moving change out of any other class out there, right? So it takes a year, it takes 2 years for it to start to trend down and then bottom out. It doesn't happen overnight like the stock market can drop 20, 30% in 2 days, right? So that's where I've always prided myself on. I don't need to close this deal today, right? But I want to make sure that you're lined up good in the end with your purchase because you buy your profit, right? You don't wait for the market to go up. You don't wait for rents to go up. You don't wait for any of that stuff to go up. You buy your profit today. So it's always been that, hey, I don't need this transaction. I need us to create a lifetime relationship to where you trust me in your transactions. And not just with you, but your friends, your family, and all that stuff, to where I have to look at the market and make predictions based on what's going on in the financial markets and everywhere else that affect real estate indirectly, to make these predictions on what is actually going to happen. And with the residential rental market, right, I think I nailed that pretty good so far.
To the T.
To where it's dropping. It's dropping all over the country. And some markets are affected more than others. But now it's getting to the point where landlords are getting strapped for cash, and now the panic is going to start to set in because rates are going to be higher for longer. They're not going to bring them down. And people are starting to able to afford less and less and less. So that's where that kind of sets in, is that, it's, before this podcast started, we were going to talk about, you mentioned about what I've learned in 12 years, right? And the thing that I learned that, kind of makes me upset in a certain way is that our industry as a whole, and I'm not saying everyone, has become so transaction and deal focused instead of actually acting like a professional, like a doctor or a lawyer, right? To where you are actually, your numbers, your product, your stuff, and you learn it, and you're able to advise people on that purchase instead of just going, oh yeah, that property looks great, let's buy it.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it. How many real estate agents are there in comparison to homes on the market? It's insane. Everybody's choosing to get a license because it looks cool, because it looks like a fun thing to do.
Well, yeah,
a side hustle. How can you trust somebody with your livelihood if they consider what they're doing for you a side hustle? It doesn't make sense. It's like, would you go to a doctor to get surgery if it's a side hustle and his main thing is he's an accountant?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
But people look at, right? If you look at two type of people, some people look at, if I go with my cousin Susie or Johnny that does this part-time, they'll charge me less of a commission, and then they'll get my property sold or rental or whatever else. When the other side looks at it as, if I go with somebody that doesn't have experience, that's not into this every single day, and not only as a broker, but also as an investor and an owner and everything else that understands what's going on, I'm going to lose tens of thousands of dollars because they don't have the experience. I'd rather pay a fee, a premium if somebody's good.
Yep.
But I'm going to make 20 times that amount because I know that my tenant's going to be good, they're going to be vetted, or my property is going to get top dollar. It's not going to be overpriced and set on the market until somebody makes a lowball offer. So that's kind of where the difference comes into play is, there's, what was there last year? Like 1.65 million agents in the country.
Yep, I remember.
And there were only like 3.8 million transactions. The bottom 70% did 0 or 1 transactions.
It's a disgrace. To be honest, it is a disgrace. Some people do this as a living. It's their livelihood. It's what they rely on to feed their family. And then you have others that are just completely coming in and bashing the reputation and the namesake of the industry, which is crazy. I mean, going back to what you said about trust and, paying a premium, paying the fees, recently the whole NAR lawsuit that got settled with the whole, buyer's commission issue, and people say now, we're not entitled to list a buyer commission or, as a matter of fact, pay a buyer's broker. I mean, in my opinion, that's just, total BS. Because think about it. The lack of education first-time home buyers are about to have in the upcoming, in the near future, just because of a lack of potential representation due to not being paid a premium, it's ridiculous. Because at that point, there's nobody guiding you to make the right decisions because, let's face it, if you're a listing agent, your main job is to get that property sold. And there will be people who will have very selfish interest to just get it sold and not provide the right information to the buyers to have them make the right informed decision. And I know you can speak to that as well. How important is information in buying a property and getting the right kind of information?
It's not just so much as information, right? It's once you build a certain amount of experience, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we've toured a few properties, right? So you can tell me if I'm BSing or not. But when I walk through a property, with a buyer, with a client, with a seller, whatever, I don't look at, oh my God, there's the kitchen, there's the bathroom. Like, common sense will tell you where that stuff is, right? I look at the major things. I look at windows. I look at ages of HVAC units. I look at mechanicals. I look at roof. I look at cracks in the ceilings. I look at potential maintenance items. I look at all that stuff. So to where then I can advise you after you're done looking at the kitchen and where the bathrooms are located and how big the bedrooms are. Because none of that stuff really matters to me as the advisor. It's great because I can sell you the lifestyle of, like, hey, imagine like this entertainment space or this rental has this patio for tenants, whatever. It makes it great. But that's not really why I get hired, right? That's not why people hire us.
No, I didn't choose you to tell me how this could look.
People hire us for our experience and our advice on, hey, this is what it is. If we get it at this price, you have this budget to replace this, this, and this, because that's going to need to be replaced in the next year or two. So it's going to ruin your cash flow unless we get it at the right price, right? So that's what I look at. Mm-hmm. You know, and it doesn't matter that, you know, with the last 12 years of residential or the last 7 of commercial, and, you know, still I have such a big network of residential clients that once in a while I will do a transaction because people call me and they trust me because I maybe lost 1 or 2 repeat buyers and sellers over the years, and a lot of that time has been with due to relocation companies because I don't do relocation anymore. I just refuse to. But it's one of those things of, if you are an expert and you are somebody that needs advice, you're going to pay the money, right? You're going to pay whatever the cost is to get that advice, to make sure that your money that you worked super hard for is safe and you're getting the right deal, you're getting it for the right price and everything else. But now we talk about the first-time home buyers or people that just have enough, 5%, 10% to put down. Yep. They can't afford that premium advice, right? So that's who's going to get hurt in the end if they choose to not work with a broker because they think, oh, this whole lawsuit is this, this, and that. But a lot of people don't understand what the actual lawsuit is. The lawsuit is the MLSs are no longer going to be advertising a buyer-broker commission. That's it. It's always been a choice of the seller to pay that or not to pay that, right? And the trick has become, oh, the seller pays this out of their profits, so this. The one thing that people need to realize is that the buyer's the one that's bringing the cash to the table, to the seller. So essentially it's the buyer that's paying the commission to everybody. Because everyone thinks, oh, I am so rich on paper today. My house has this much equity and this much that and this. That does not matter until it's realized. Mm-hmm. That equity means nothing until it's translated into cash and you're actually at the closing table getting a check.
Yep.
And that money's in your bank account, right? So equity means zero.
Unless you plan on doing something with it.
Well, correct. Yeah, you can refinance. You can get a line of credit to invest and all that stuff. Unfortunately, as we've learned in the last few years, people aren't taking that money to invest. People are buying cars, buying boats, taking vacations, paying off credit cards, doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing with that equity because that equity can disappear overnight like that if the market changes. So it's one of those things of people just need to get educated on what it actually is and what the lawsuit is, because I'll tell you this, good brokers, good realtors will always be out there representing buyers and sellers both and figure out how to get compensated for their time. Because guess what? You can still put it into the purchase agreement that the seller is going to pay you a certain percentage of the purchase price. And if they don't, great, then you move on. It's not the right property. And if it is the right property for the client, then you figure it out with the client. If the seller's refusing to pay it, you find a way.
Yep.
Right? So there's always ways to get paid in this industry. You just have to know exactly what you're doing and how to do it, because otherwise, just quit. Like, go get a 9-to-5.
How many people, you said it last week, how many people were leaving the industry? I think it was a statistic.
I mean, there's like 300,000 or 400,000 that left last year that didn't renew their memberships because it's all tracked, or their licenses.
Yeah.
So people are quitting. I mean, we've had all these HGTV flip shows make it look so easy. That, hey,
sexy as well.
You're going to start in real estate, you're going to go lease your white BMW, and then you're going to move up to lease that white Mercedes, and then you're going to do so well, and then you're going to go on all these vacations and trips and just, bathe yourself in $100 bills. That's not the industry.
No, it's not.
It takes hard work. It's a grind every single day. There's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes between brokers, title companies, mortgage companies, that our clients never even hear of, because we try to mitigate it and deal with it on the back end as much as we can. And that's kind of where the industry is, unfortunately. It's a low barrier to get in, and a lot of people can pass a test, but that doesn't mean that they're actually good at it.
Yep.
Right?
A monkey can pass the test, but it takes a special someone to be a good broker. And it's very hard to find a lot of them nowadays.
Well, it takes time, and it takes actual work, which
I mean, it's 10,000 hours. It's the
right.
10,000 hour rule. But yeah, it has been a crazy ride. But the beautiful thing about it is that we're seeing a lot of different ideas and different ways to make it work with what we currently have. For example, retail. We've seen the biggest driver for bringing life back to anything at this point in time is entertainment and hospitality. I mean, before that, you would never think of mixing that with... You never think that is the key to bringing back retail whatsoever, because they used to be all kind of in their own separate thing. But now the fact that retail in itself is not standing properly. And we've seen those two being a key factor in the revitalization of a lot of big boxes, a lot of strip centers, just because it's an attraction. You draw people. I mean, for example, I went to Egan Outlet 3 months ago, and you would think that because it's an outlet, it's going to be packed, people are going to be there. Dude, it was empty. The stores, absolutely empty. Everything is going to online, and this is going to sound negative, but I'm somewhat happy that there was this big correction in the industry, and there was a lot of turmoil to some extent, because we needed that reset, we needed that refresh to get creative again and think of different solutions to implement, just to make sure that we at least have something to keep us busy for the next 20 years or so, to make sure there's that next big thing to keep working on. Right. Because it became saturated. I mean, industrial became saturated.
Yep. Everything, and now it's crashing. Prices are coming down.
Yeah. I mean
there's more subleases and emails that we get
100%.
On industrial and office right now that
10, 20, 30,000 square feet, buildings being vacated, new builds, spec buildings absolutely empty. Yeah. When you go to Lakeville, Egan, up in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, even past that, Ramsey, Anoka, it's all empty.
Yep.
So, I mean, we needed that period of turmoil just so that we could understand it's a hard reset, because everything that used to work isn't working. And it's just the cycle of the market. We hit the peak, and then we're kind of at the bottom right now, the turn. So I'm excited for what's to come. I mean, if you watch the last episode with Ozzy, just the different tactics to implement to get deals and get new clients right now is offering the service. It actually worked. One of the email blasts I started doing to different businesses offering the services, we've been getting some hits back, and I think it's that proactive effort that, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, this is the problem you're facing, here's how we can solve it, especially now, just because you're not the only person that's feeling not lost, but feeling, what do I do now? So I think stepping in right now really will make a difference in your productivity a year, 2 years from now. Because like Stas said, it's not about getting the deal done right now. It's about building the relationship to be able to not just transact, but advise, work together, and, bring value to the table other than just collecting a check and calling it a day.
Right. And that's, the biggest thing is markets and people are always evolving and changing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's always been like that, right? The thing now is that some retailers have hired too many people, expanded too many stores, right? And now they're downsizing. Most retailers right now, especially the nationals, are downsizing, cutting stores, cutting costs as much as they can because their stock prices are in the gutter. And that's what they depend on, right? They depend on creating profits for their shareholders. So if you're not doing it properly and correctly, there's a matter of time before you're out of business, right? So let's look at Bed Bath & Beyond. They were so great for so many years, mm-hmm. but they never changed what they do and how they do it. And then they became old. They never adapted with the times, and they went bankrupt. But so many stores are doing that because they're not changing with the times. And it's getting tougher and tougher to get people into your businesses. So you have to market. You have to, make deals, create offers to people to walk in, right? Like, I hate online shopping.
No, we know.
Like, I will want to come into a store. I want to touch it, feel it, put it, and buy it. Like, yesterday, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods because I needed a new pair of running shoes, right? And I'm a huge OnCloud advocate, so we're looking for a sponsor, OnCloud, right? Like, I love their shoes, right? Yeah. Now they just came out with the clothing line.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, for like running and athleisure wear, essentially, yeah. Right? So I'm at Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday, picking up a pair of new OnCloud running shoes. I go to their short section for OnCloud, right? And these shorts are $80. I have a problem paying retail for stuff, right? Just the business that we're in, what we do, and whatever else. Like, I always have. I hate paying retail. So I went online. And the same shorts that were hanging on the rack in a different color were on sale online for like 50% off. So guess what I did? I expedited shipping, and I ordered 2 pairs of those shorts online from the same company. Mm-hmm. But I was in the store. They didn't offer those options because they were an online-only deal. Yeah. For the same OnCloud shorts, running shorts. But I went online. But I still spent money in the store, and I spent money online for the same establishment, right? For Dick's Sporting Goods. But that's what it drives, right? You still need a retail presence, and if you have to offer more products online, then you still get that benefit of, hey, I came to the store, I bought shoes, I touched shorts, and I got them in a different color because they were on sale. Yeah. Right? So that makes sense, and that's what a lot of businesses don't understand is you still need that retail presence because these 75 million baby boomers are not used to shopping online. Absolutely. They're still going to need a retail location to go to. And it's going to take 20 years before they're completely, done shopping. So it's one of those things of a change is the only constant that happens. But you just need to adapt to it, and you need to change and evolve your business model with the change.
Have you seen the Lululemon on Grand Ave in St. Paul? That's up for sublease. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, the thing with Grand Avenue, it's a great area. But it's not an area that people frequently visit. Right? It's outside. Yeah, it's St. Paul. I'm not saying anything about right? But when you're walking from shop to shop and there's trash everywhere, there's homeless people everywhere, it doesn't make it a fun experience, right? Mm-hmm. But, outside shopping centers in Minnesota's climate don't work.
Sucks.
Like, they don't work. They don't work here. You need enclosed shopping centers because we're not LA. We're not Florida. We're not even Chicago.
We're not him.
Right?
Period.
So we need enclosed malls. There's not going out of Minnesota. There might be closing everywhere else, but Minnesota, they're always going to be a benefit because you have parking, you have enclosed space to where you can walk into and walk around with a t-shirt on and not freeze your butt off or get rained on or whatever, or slip and fall walking from store to store outside when we have ice or whatever else, right? So what was the first, like, Albertville Outlets, right? First outdoor outlet. I drove by there the other day going to St. Cloud for hockey. It's like 25-30% empty. There's closed stores everywhere. You take the big development at West End and St. Louis Park.
Mm-hmm.
That has gone through so many businesses in trouble because nobody can make it there. Nobody's shopping. And then you have Egan Outlets.
And the Arbor Lakes.
Same thing. You have a consistent change of stores because they can't make it. Right? Like, I was talking to some other broker about this the other day, but even let's look at downtown Wayzata. Right? The most prestigious street, Lake Street. Rents are $50, $60, $70 a foot gross. And people think that, hey, I'm in Wayzata, people are going to come here, people are going to spend money, people are going to shop.
That was in the car with you.
Wayzata has the biggest turnover rate ever because nobody can make it at those high prices because they don't. You still need to market. You still need to get people in. You still need to entice people to come in, no matter where you are, right? So that's kind of where change is always happening, and if you're not evolving with it and changing with it, you're going to die.
Yep.
So that's kind of what that retail side and, rental side is of real estate. It's a constant change. People always want new. People always want shiny. People always want the next best thing, and you have to be able to provide that and adapt and change. You have to think like you're a small 24-foot boat with 800 horsepower and not a huge cruise liner because you need to be able to change quick.
Yep.
Right? And it sucks because a lot of these retailers are stuck in their ways. A lot of these board members and everything else are there, and it's one of those things of it is not working.
And you have to change it. If
you
not,
have to change
you have to follow the trend. And
right.
You're shutting down, unfortunately. But
so that's that. So if you guys have any questions, need advice, need anything, reach out.
We're here to help, support, advise. We're not transactional. We are relationship-based. That's the key thing. So if you really just want to have a conversation to learn more and understand what your position looks like and where you want to be, always here to help. Yeah. Never a problem at all.
Give us a call. Our phones are always on. Our numbers are everywhere. So call us. We're happy to have a conversation anytime.
With that said, thank you for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode of the Lykeminded Podcast. Thanks.
That wraps up episode 6.